Not loving our neighbors as ourselves. Yeah.
Not trusting and worrying.
Not trusting and worrying. Yeah, no, that's good. Okay, so those are some. I mean, y'all said some good things. So some of those things are what I'm gonna go through on this list, and hopefully, I want to get your and what I'm doing in my study is I'm getting back sensitive to what Jesus actually taught us to be have compassion for those that are less fortunate, the poor, the sick. Those are things that the church should be uplifting, but we're not about that. Mm-hmm. We're really just about, what we do. Let's just be honest. Churches are competitive now. Mm-hmm. There's a competitive spirit. Yes. And it runs rapid. It's crazy. Sometimes it's sickening. The people are really low key mad when you going in the right direction or not doing something that they didn't think of. It's just crazy. So, all right, so let's get to these 10 things. All right, number one. We keep forgetting that the second commandment is a command. Y'all know what the second commandment is? Robert just said it a minute ago. Love your neighbor. I think sometimes we forget that it's a commandment. It's a commandment, but it's also a command. It's not up for discussion. He says, thou shalt love thy neighbor as what? It's not an option. It's not an opinion. It's not for you to have a like on Facebook. It's not a good idea. It's what he says. To love neighbor strongly is a key component, a key component of the kind of witness Jesus envisioned for his people, extended to the world. So I dare say that a lot of people stay from the church because they don't see us loving each other. You agree with that?
Yep.
So why we don't love like we should love? Now, a lot of people, I found this out, a lot of people don't know what love is. Some people think love is agreeing with everything. So, I mean, the day best friend day. People been putting that up on Facebook all day. My best friend, whatever. And I just did an inventory. I don't have a best friend. I don't. Well, I do, but I don't. But I do, I don't. Well, you got your head down, I do. Some days I do. When we all right, we all right. But when we bad, we bad. All right. So when you can't really put your best friend in the same category as a spouse, because there's some stuff. If you got a best friend, it's some stuff that your best friend know about you, especially like these two back here. They been down like 4 flat tires, high school, 4 children, 4 children, all that. Now them two right there, if they ever get mad at one another, it's gonna be hell in this city. But y'all been together how long? 20-some years. All right, so that's your best friend. Right. And I dare say this. So there are some things that both of you all know about each other that y'all spouses don't know. Okay, all right. I'm going somewhere when I say it. All right. So now, even though y'all love each other, you don't love your best friend like you love your spouse. It's different, right? Okay, so why do people try to categorize love in one category? All right, when the type of love that Jesus is talking about here is not a romantic love, but it's agape love, the love of God. In other words, you got to be able to love a person enough to tell them when they're wrong. Some folks don't love folks like that. Right. Because you scared folk gonna quit talking to you and block you. not answer your call, so you don't tell. But you got to love the type of love that Jesus talking about. Here, you love thy neighbors, I love if you love yourself. If you see me going in a ditch, you ought to try to help me not to go in the ditch, right? Right. If you say you love me now. Right. But that's not what we do. The question remains, me and Carol had a conversation a few months back, and you know, she was talking about a situation, and, you know, a friend, I can't even remember who it was, it just popped up in my head, but she said, well, she asked my opinion. She said, I know something about a situation, and I'm talking to you about it, and I want to know, do you think it's a good idea for me to tell the person? And I said, well, I knew the person, and I said, well, I don't think it's a good idea because I think that person is going to turn it around, and they're going to be mad at you, even though it's true. Sometimes you got to use wisdom with your love. I'm going somewhere now. I'm going somewhere. Because if your girlfriend or your homeboy done already told you if they spouse doing whatever they don't want to know, why you going to tell them? Right. They done already told you they don't want to know. Oh, some of y'all looking crazy. I'm talking to the real. Y'all know we talk real stuff here. Don't act like that. I know we got a few new people in here tonight. Don't act like that. All right? So, you don't love everybody the same. Sometimes you have to use wisdom in loving, and also loving is sometimes withholding. Oh my, I'm going somewhere. Withholding some information. Okay, I'm the priest of my home. All right, I pay the bills at my house. All right, that's what I do. I'm the man. Now, I don't tell Carol when every bill due. You know why? Because if I'm the man, then some stuff she don't need to worry about. Now that ain't lying to her. The bill getting paid, everything on, it may be a little late. Oh, no. I may have to make some payment right. I'm gonna keep the lights on. I'll never forget this. This is a transparent moment. We were in moved from Jacksonville and moved to Montgomery, and following the voice of the Lord. Man, I took almost about a $35,000 pay cut to come to pastor church in the country because I knew what the Lord was leading me to do. And so, that's a whole lot of money. And so, man, I had work and, just forgetting stuff and, the hustle and bustle, just trying to keep things going, trying to get adjusted to my new salary. Because when you get used to a certain amount of money, when it go down, it take a minute. So I had work that night. Carol was at work. We didn't have John Mike at the time, just JR. And man, it was summertime. I remember like it was yesterday. It was summertime. I'm laying up in the bed from a hot night at UPS. I'm getting my sleep, and then you know how it get hot, and you wake up all of a sudden. And it was like I woke up. I'm like, damn, it's hot in here. And they had turned the lights off. I said, you know what? I said, nah, I ain't gonna tell her. I said, but some kind of way between now and when she get home, I got to get these lights on. So anybody that ever had the lights on, they don't come right back out. They don't come right back out. But baby, I cut up so bad on that phone that day. I did all kind of stuff. I was threatening to call the mail. That's why I always keep friends in high places. I called them. I had the mail call Alabama Fire. I said, tell them, man, I got a child I need it. So about 2 hours later, they came back and cut it on. But I beat myself up because they got cut off. Now, when you love somebody, some things you don't bother them with because it ain't going to help the situation. Okay, I'm going somewhere. So, when Jesus said, love thy neighbor as you love yourself, then sometimes you got to close your mouth to your neighbor and not tell everything you know. Some of y'all want to tell them everything. And then they ain't going to do nothing but quit talking to you because you don't want to hear it, you don't want to hear it. And if folk doing stuff, eventually they're going to come to the light. You ain't got to hire no private investigator. You ain't got to do that. I mean, it's bad. We got people, we got husband and wife with apps on their phone, secretly, to see what the other one doing. If I got to do all that, I don't need to be careful. That's too much energy. I ain't got time. I ain't got time. Because if they going to do what I'm doing and some more, they can get them. They good. But I ain't finna put no app on the phone secretly. That ain't love. You don't, to a person, you got to do that to a person, you don't really love them. You in lust. You might have a strong like for them. All right? Any questions on that? Somebody said that's crazy. It is. Don't make no sense. You paying extra money to make sure that's great. Anyway, all right. So he says you got to love your neighbor as you love yourself. Now, it's not an opinion. It's not an option. We don't have an option in this. We got to do this. And we got to do it like Jesus would do it. That's why I was at the barbershop the other day, and a young lady, I don't even know her name, but her son did some stuff, and she moved away, whatever. But anyway, to make a long story short, the reason that I always have compassion for people that have gotten in trouble is because I understand that they are kin to somebody. See, that's why I don't agree with y'all saying all these news and all this stuff. I mean, folk killing and somebody. Them somebody folk. They are connected to somebody. One of our friends, her son, the person, he was the person that got beat up, jumped on, up at County High. I mean, it was just, it got shared so many times. She about to have a nervous breakdown because people don't have any compassion. All right? And so that's why I always have compassion for people. Even people, y'all know this is not a secret. My friend, one of my preacher friends just got convicted for killing his wife. He going to prison for the rest of his life. But guess what? He still can call me. I'm still going to see him. You know why? Because somebody got to extend the olive branch. Because even though he took somebody's life, I read the Bible cover to cover. I've been trying to find it in the Bible. I haven't found it yet. But the only thing that God won't forgive you for is denying that he is God. Now, to us, that don't seem fair. That's why you ain't God. See, because here's the thing. Think about it, we would have been on the cross and the folks mocking us and saying, you ain't the son of God. We were saying, now niggas, I'm going to show y'all something. Let me show y'all who I am. Now, y'all ain't going to, I'm going to feel bad for y'all. Y'all ain't going to sit, y'all, we would have been like, no, let me get some comeback and whatever. But that's why we don't have that type of power, because we can't take. But here's the thing. We do have the type of power to love in such a way that sometimes you have to withhold things from people until people see them for themselves. It's just like you that have children, your children have bought people home that you know wasn't no good, and you don't make a situation better by talking about the situation. You just be like, okay, and after a while they'll see what they need to see. But see, what parents make a mistake is the very person that you don't want your child to be with, and you let them know it. That's the very person that they're going to be talking to. If you just close your mouth and just be like, okay, whatever, yeah, you nice. Yeah. All right, I ain't going to deal with it. So we keep forgetting the second commandment is a command. It's not an option. It's a command. It's a command. It's not an option. It's not that if you like them. You got to love them as you love yourself. So whatever love you have for yourself, you ought to be able to stand it to your neighbor. Now, I know that's a hard pill to swallow. Now, I'll be the first person to tell you, now, prison ministry is not my calling. I slam them doors too hard. I go visit folks, but it ain't something I want to do every day. And so, I do have compassion. And I do have love because all of those people in prison are kin to somebody. And so you can't always say, well, they ain't no good, It's some talented folk in prison. If you ever been connected in a prison, they can make some stuff. They can turn, they almost like Jesus, they can turn so many things. All right. So if we know that it's a command, it's a command, then the question is, why don't we obey what it says? It's inconvenient for us. It's difficult for us. It's too demanding. We love people. Well, let me say it like this. You can care about somebody and not love them. You care about the folk that work with you, but you don't love them. You don't love them folk. You don't. You care about them. You have compassion for them when stuff happens. But now you don't love them. Because at the end of the day, if it's between your check and their check, Holy Ghost, who you gonna choose? You ain't finna go home and explain to you, well, you know, I lost my job because I was trying to, I had my What Would Jesus Do keychain. Somebody's gonna have to do some explaining, all right? So it's a command, so we gotta remember that. Now, let's go to Matthew 25. And we're not going to read the whole lot. I mean, you can read a couple of verses out of Matthew 25. But I want to focus on the feed the hungry, clothe the naked, and visit the sick. That's what I really want to concentrate on. Because we keep forgetting, that's the second thing we keep forgetting. We keep forgetting about his command to do this, to feed the hungry, to clothe the naked, to visit the sick. The best thing I could have ever done was got out of Tuscaloosa and saw what real ministry can do. When I went to Carrollton Church, twice a week, they were feeding the homeless, busing over the folk, busing them from downtown Jacksonville, the scum of the people, we would say the people, scum of earth. We feeding 75 to 125 folk every Tuesday and Thursday, not bologna sandwiches, hot meals. I'm talking about oxtails and rice. I used to go over there and eat. when I had to preach, when I had to minister to them, because they had to hear a sermon first. I mean, a little lesson first, but they ain't care. Because when you hungry, you hungry. All right, and I met some awesome people that life had happened to them. I met a couple of doctors that got addicted to prescription drugs, lost everything they had, but the church had compassion on them. So this command in Matthew 25, and we're not going to read all of it, but you can read at your leisure and kind of write it down and look back over it in your study time. But we keep forgetting about it's a command for us to feed the hungry. Not just at Thanksgiving. We got hungry folk every day. It's a command to clothe the naked. It's a command to visit the sick. It ain't just me. Let me say that. This is just not what I'm supposed to be doing. We all supposed to be doing it. First, we forget, again, that it's a command. It's not optional. Something the Lord hoped that we might find time to do. Because here's the thing. If I was hungry, I would want somebody to feed me. Here's the thing. The people that stand up on the side of the road and they say, I'm a vet, and they got a dog. They'll say, I work for food. Okay, I roll out my room and say, hey, some McDonald's up there. Why don't you get in the back? I'll take you to McDonald's. No, don't worry about it. You ain't hungry.
That's right.
You ain't hungry. Because if you hungry for what? If somebody offered to buy you something, oh, I'm getting in the car. Now, first of all, I can't believe that they're going to let me in their car. I'm going to get in. But then you have these folks talking about, oh Lord, what I'm doing in the house. You have these folks saying, no, I don't want that. They ain't really hungry. They just want your money. All right? So, there are some real hungry folks. So we got to feed the hungry. We got to clothe the naked. We got to visit the sick. And so what happens is, I think we forget that those very same people, those hungry people, those people that need clothes, those sick, could be us.
Yeah.
People that have been in the hospital, you know this, and I didn't know this until I was in the hospital one time. But when you in the hospital and you don't really know what's going on, and folk that you know show up to see you, it does something to you. Because now you sick, but folk come to see you. So Jesus said, secondly, he says, when you done it unto the least of my brothers, you done done it unto me. So we gotta do good to everybody. Not just our brothers and sisters in Christ. We gotta do good to everybody. And so, even that person on the road. Now, you got to have sense with what you do. I asked him, he said he had a sign that said he was hungry. I said, okay, McDonald's up there. You said no, then you ain't hungry. All right, then. I ain't going to hell for not giving him no money. Some of y'all be like, oh, you know, you should have gave him something. For what? I offered to feed him. He said he had a need. I offered to meet the need. Evidently, it wasn't a need. Okay, any comments on that? All right, I want to tell you this. Now, understand this, that nowhere in the Bible does the Bible say to the church to take care of the poor. Don't say that. It don't say take care of the poor. It says help. And sometimes helping means to just help you up off what you need. But some folk want you to take care of them. We got some folk in our family like that, don't we? Don't want to work at a pie factory, take some pie, and then the time we say no, the first thing they say, oh, you supposed to be saved. Going to church every Sunday, won't give me nothing. No, because you finna smoke it up. You gotta have sense with it. All right? All right. And I want to say this. Sometimes, you hear people say the government should do stuff. Do you realize that the welfare system was in the church before it was in the government hand? Pre-food stamps. Okay, y'all. Okay. Some of y'all didn't grow up like that. I was telling me and church were talking, and I was talking about Sunday about Sloppy Halls, and I told y'all, some of y'all know this, but I didn't know you could buy meat out the grocery store until I was about 12 years old. Because all the meat in our refrigerator had a white covering on it, and it was stamped with pork chops, cube steak, But one thing about it, when my granddaddy killed the hog, he didn't just have it for us. He would go around to the neighbors and he would give stuff. Nowadays, folk can crank up their grill next door to you. And you better not act like you want. I'm talking about you smelling smoke. I remember in the hood, we grew up in the hood. My mom used to barbecue all that. In the hood, it didn't take but one person to fire for grill. And then everybody else would bring their meat out. We smoked the grill all day. Because they be like, ain't no sense of getting the grill hot. But to put 2-3 pieces of chicken on there, we finna go to the stove. But you can't, folk don't do that today. That's why you buy a gas grill, so you want to keep your. You don't want no. All right. So the Bible doesn't say take care of them, but we got to give them a hand up. Now, we got to give them a hand up. All right. And then sometimes I'm gonna say this. Sometimes a hand up means not doing anything. Sometimes Christians are enablers because we want to be like Jesus. And so every time Buddy Boy comes, want $10, $15, want $3, you know what they finna do with $3. What can you do with $2 these days? You can't even buy a tank of gas. Right? So sometimes we're enablers. All right, anybody got any question on that?
The longest folks won't hear me.
Yeah, go ahead.
But it's the truth. If it's like you said, you ain't got to be all spiritual to realize that sometimes, because the Bible even says that the poor gonna always be among us.
Yeah.
That's the poor in spirit. That's first that is natural, then that is spirit. Right. But sometimes it's like we are enablers. Right. Sometimes you got to back up and get out of God's business. Because if we suffer, guess what? And we had to learn to get relationship. What you think it's going to take for the next man? Right. And when it's time for God to reel in and save him, he'll send you. But leave folk alone and get out for business.
And then you got to understand this. It's crazy to even imagine. Just imagine Jesus telling his disciples to go in Jerusalem, go into all the world, and meet every physical need of all the people. They can't do that. That's crazy. So he's not going to do that to us. So you got to have sense with what you do. All right? So we keep forgetting about the feed the hungry, clothe the naked, visit the sick, and etc. And then the third thing is We forget that loving people and loving the Lord is all about action and not emotion. We forget that loving people, somebody forget that, and loving the Lord is about action and not emotion. We got too many doggone emotional people. And they don't act on what they say they believe. Because we love people. I was talking to somebody the other day, Monday. Said, well, I know you're upset about the people that left the church. No, because I run a church and not a cult.
That's a 1,000 right there.
You only get upset. People get upset that run cults. Freely you come, freely you will leave. I tell people this all the time. When we open doors of the church every Sunday, it's for those that want to come and those that want to leave. The door is open. You make your choice, whatever you want to do. If you want to come, you come. If you want to stay, you stay. But if you want to leave, you go too. And so when you understand that, you got to understand that I don't love folk out of my emotion. Because if I love you out of my emotion, some of y'all will never get a smile from me. I'm just saying. You can't love folk out your emotion. That's why folk be so up and down in a relationship. You ain't in love every day. Sometimes you look at it and be like, I don't even know why I'm with you. Like, I mean, really? I really don't like him. Like, why am I with him? Really? So you ain't in love. So you can't love with your emotions because your emotions are all over the place. Stuff happens, life happens, things happen, situations happen. Sometimes you feel like you beautiful. Sometimes you feel like you fat. Sometimes you go through all that. So you can't love people with your emotions. You got to love folk with the love of God. And God loves unconditional. That's why when I sit down with couples and I counsel them and I tell them straight up now, you need to understand. Because see, they be thinking I'm finna open the Bible, we finna talk about a bunch of scriptures and I'm gonna run through them. No, we gonna talk about practical stuff. I said, now, look, man, look at this woman. Woman, look at this man. In the next 30 years, they ain't gonna look like they do. So if you marry them for that, gravity is not our friend. What goes up must come down. That's just the reality. So you can't be in love. You can't be in love with the outer shell. You got to be in love with the inside. And folks get them mixed up. All right, I'm done. I'm just saying. So the Lord is about action, not emotion. Now you got to understand. No one can command his own emotions. You can't command your own emotions. Like I just said, you all over the place. It just depends on what you got going on. Some days you feel good, some days you don't. Some days you want to fool with folks, some days you don't. I keep telling y'all, I keep saying this. You know, there are some people that enjoy being by themselves. Everybody single. It's not a death sentence if you're single. Some people are single by choice. It ain't because they can't have nobody. It's because they don't want to put up with some stuff. And when you get a certain age, you know, if you got a routine going, somebody come and wreck your flow, it ain't gonna no. But so you can't love out of your emotions. Alright? So keep that in mind. The next thing is this is a big one right here. We keep forgetting the Lord told us to expect to be treated badly. This was an eye-opener for me. I was like, man, I don't believe what this is. But when you think about it, look how Jesus was treated. Yeah. He was called a demon. I mean, this man crazy. He drunk. All this kind of stuff. We got to expect that folk gonna treat us bad. So when folk do treat you bad, instead of getting your feelings, understand that it's a reason why they treat you bad. When we understand that we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, that there's spiritual wickedness in high places. And some of them are in high places, some of them in low places. Alright? And so that's why I said something about the haunted house, everybody You know, somebody they ain't gonna have no wedding there, they ain't gonna be it's on Greenberg Avenue, it's hunted, all that kind of stuff. But you going to your house every night and stuff in there. You can't sleep at night, thinking bugs on you, crawling on you, drinking out snakes, all this kind of stuff. Y'all laughing, but that's the money. It is. You dream about somebody trying to kill you. You need to check your spirit. Something going on. Because we're African Americans. That's what we say we are. But in the African culture, Africans believe that you're not saved unless you dream. They say that the Lord warns you in dreams. That's why sometimes you go to places and it's a deja vu. You're like, wow, I've been here before. You ain't never been there? Because it was shown to you in your dream. All right? So you gotta expect people to treat you badly. Now I know that ain't something that we gonna jump up and down the hall. Don't nobody like to be treated bad. But understand your bad treatment is for not your sake, but for his name's sake. We forgotten that he warned that we could be hated by folk for his sake. There are people in this town that hate me. Not because I'm a drug dealer. Because I'm a soul dealer. Hate me. Somebody said the other day, I was with some friends. With some colleagues. And they said, somebody asked, they were in the church meeting. Somebody said, the pastor said, where are the young folk? Where the young folk gone? And so one of the old ladies said, no, they ain't gone. Said, mother, where they at? At Oasis. True story. I just said, oh, okay then. All right, so we gotta remember that, you know, the Lord told us that we're gonna get treated badly. Now, what we don't expect is for folk in the body of Christ to treat us like they treat us. I expect some stuff from the folk out the street, but in the church, you know. So, and I run into bad, you know, colleagues that have been treated bad by churches, and they mad with the Lord, you know, because the Lord called them to the work. So I know some preachers that started preaching and quit preaching, you know, they just couldn't handle it. I mean, so some of them don't even go to church no more. That's some folk, you know, some folk that got mad now don't go to church no more because of church folk. Interesting. The reason that we are stressing, take the month off of July and just relax and rest is because there are too many people that are getting divorced by way of the church. You always at church. You got to spend some time with your folk. The Lord created the family before he created the church. So that lets me know that the church the family is important to God. The church is, but the family is more important. So you got to spend time. Then you have folks, I don't understand it. You know, you out of your feet. See, folk that don't want no break is people that don't want to spend time with the folk that they with anyway. I'm just saying. If you ought to want to break sometime. I mean, so we breaking the month of July, so I don't know what y'all gonna do. Some of y'all may just sit home every Wednesday and watch episodes of Empire. I don't know what y'all gonna do. But you ain't gonna be here. We gonna take a break. Because we need a break. I need a break. You need a break. We need to miss each other. We need to see other people. I told my cousin that the other day, her and her son, they were real tight. I said, listen, y'all need to see other people. I mean, y'all too close. Y'all need to miss each other because they too much alike. They get on each other's nerves. I said, y'all need to see other people. All right. So, but people don't want to see that the scripture warns us to expect trouble from inside the church as well as outside. Acts 20 talks about church stuff being going on the inside of the church. All right. So we should expect that so much stuff when stuff come up, instead of you know what I'm saying, you know, about to have a coma part and about to have a nervous breakdown and all that kind of stuff. It's all right. Okay. Any questions? Y'all ain't talking that much.
Okay, so let me say this.
Yeah, come on.
If you, and I can say ask myself,
Yeah.
if you wouldn't have never taught that to me,
Yeah.
and the thing about it is what you have to understand, Pastor, is this, that you have to, like, people that been from church to church, and all of a sudden they come here, is abnormal. But at the same time, if they take what you say and enforce it, they'll see a big difference. Because to be honest, that's what saved me and my thinking that I just had to be here and like my life was just gonna fall apart because that was taught to me.
Yeah.
So then when I stopped doing it, I seen that, okay, I still got a relationship with God, but if you would have never told me that, I had no clue because it was taught.
Well, let me say this. Do you realize that trying to control somebody is a form of witchcraft? You will never hear me say, don't go to somebody else's church. I ain't gonna never tell you this. Visit go to whatever church you want to go to. All right? There's nothing wrong with it. But there are some pastors that tell their folk, don't go nowhere else. That's a form of witchcraft. That's a form of control. Because what happens is, anybody that will stand and tell their congregation don't fellowship with another, we on the same team. Right. You mean tell me I can't go over here? Why I can't go? Are they not preaching Jesus? Oh yeah, they preaching Jesus, but they don't believe like us. They ain't saved for real. How you know? And so for years, folk, just like Rob said, for years folk have been saying, well, I know folk in this town that they are planning a church service on the Super Bowl to keep folk from going to a Super Bowl party. I'm thinking about having a big church one next year. Not here. I'm talking about off-site somewhere where we just enjoy each other. And I ain't talking about just having no sodas either. I'm sorry, I'm different. I'm different. The Bible said be not drunk. It said be not drunk. It didn't say don't drink. So if you can drink two and not be drunk, go ahead. If you can drink seven and not be drunk, go ahead. As long as you don't get drunk. No, but I said all that to say this. Because I don't want anybody to ever think that I'm the only person. See, when people say that we got this going on, we got prayer, we got Bible study, we got this, we got that, we got that. You need to be here. When you ain't here, you neglect your church. No, you don't. Because the church is me. So wherever I am, that's what the church is. That's right. So that's sort of like a form of witchcraft. And so I try to teach you all to have balance. So you got to have balance. It'll run you crazy. The little time that I'm in the spirit, I have to take a nap every Sunday. I'm talking about it wears me out. I got to go to sleep. When the Lord done really use you tired, you done sung and got tore up and the cried and the snap. You got to go somewhere and lay it down. You can't take being in the spirit all of my hours. You can't take that. These little 90 minutes have me tore up. I had to go to sleep. So and so you will never hear me say, don't go over here, don't go over there. Now, there are some churches that we go to that a whole lot of stuff go on with that I don't agree with. But I ain't going to tell you don't go there. Because my thing is, you got to learn how to chew the meat and spit out the bone. Even if some stuff, I go to any church in town. Any white, Hispanic. I like to go to Mexican church because they Pentecostal. They gets it up. They shout when they go in the door, they shout from start to finish. I'm talking about folks fall out, they just put the sheet over, they goes on. But they for real, they serious about it. All right, so we can't forget that. The next thing is, I'm almost done. I got about 5 minutes. All right, we keep forgetting that he told us to love our enemies. Now that's hard right there. I'm just gonna tell you, I put a check mark on that I'm gonna have to talk to the Lord about that when I get to heaven. You mean I got to love somebody that treat me bad? I got to love? Yeah, we gotta love them. We gotta love them. We gotta love them. And sometimes, well, I ain't gonna say that. What y'all got to say?
I have a question.
Yes.
Like, I know I asked this before, but I'm gonna ask it again.
Yeah.
What if you just don't like them, but you just still like, you know, you love them because they're human and that's what they're supposed to do, but what if you don't like them? Is that the same thing? I'm just
love
being real.
folks and not like their ways.
You can
Right.
love folk and not like that way. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm good.
But what you gotta do in loving them, you gotta love them, but you can't nurse your anger.
Right.
You can't do that. You can't bear your grudges. You can't protect your resentment. You gotta give them really what I call a get out of jail free card.
How many if they get?
The Bible says 70 times 7.
Teach it.
See, I liken this unto this. There are some people, I know some people in situations like this, and it's so sad and I feel so sorry for them, that there are some people that are willing to forgive you, but they're going to make your life a living hell. Y'all missed it. So, okay, I cheated on my wife. Now, I didn't know. Boy, I didn't say that. But I did. They'll take that. Look at this clip right here. He admitted it. I knew it. So I go and cheat on my wife. And we have a conversation. We go to counseling and we reconcile. All right. Now, if her whole aim is the only reason that she forgave me per se is to torture me, then she is just as bad as I am. See, you can't forgive folk then torture. You know what I'm saying? You forgive somebody, then you don't trust them no more. Where you going? Not going over that woman's house. You can't do that. You can't do that. You cannot do that. Well, you go, yeah, go with it, because he probably ain't going where he say he's going. Either you gonna forgive me or you not. And I ain't saying that forgiveness is a hard thing. I mean, I'm not saying that it's an easy thing. It's a process. But you gotta, here's the thing. My mama taught me this. My mama said, I never had a curfew. I never had to turn the TV off. That's why sometimes when Carol tell my boys to turn the TV off, I kind of cringe because I didn't grow up in a house like that. I didn't grow up in a house that you had to ask to open the refrigerator and all that. You know, I just went in there and got what I wanted. Now, if I ate too much of it, I might have got told off. But I didn't have to do that. You know, I had free reign in the house, and so my mama never gave me a curfew. This is what she used to always say. When I started driving, I started going out of stuff, I would say, "What's my curfew?" She would never give me no time. She would always say this: "You know when too late, too late." That's all she would say. And then, cause she say, "I'm gonna trust you until you give me a reason not to trust you." And when I gave her the reason not to trust you, I was just a fool. I mean, they lied to me. I'm somewhere I ain't got no business. Me and my mama got a joint account. I run out of money. I swipe the card. I asked the lady in the club. I said, "Hey, I'm out of money. But if I swipe it, no, I was just gonna say merchant something." I swiped the card, you know, got the money out, you know. Oh, the statement came. My mom said, "Come here." All she did, she had it highlighted and everything. She said, "Now you tell me what you doing in another state. You told me you." I said, "Oh, I'm busted. I was so mad with them folks. Still mad with them. That's why I ain't never been back." All right. So we gotta keep forgetting. He told us we gotta keep forgetting that he told us to love our enemies. We gotta love our enemies. We gotta love people past what we see, even their mistakes, even the stuff that we know about. We gotta love them past that. And like I said earlier, love does not mean that you allow them to continue to hurt you. All right? Because some people are in situations because they've been churched and say, you know, you supposed to stay there. Now he beating on me. You better get out of there.
Right.
Man, you know, that ain't love.
Not at all.
If you ain't safe, you gotta leave. All right? And then I know some men that get abused. It's true. I'm talking about physically. It's a bad sign to hear a man getting whooped by a woman. That's a terrible. You'll never. It's just like. Anyway, all right. So the next thing is we no longer remember we are commissioned to throw parties for undeserving and undesirable. We're commissioned to throw parties for the undeserving and the undesirable. That goes back to what I said earlier. The poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind. We should uplift them. I watch TLC and I watch Little People Big Work. And those are some mentions. So they going through a divorce right now. I'm praying for them. But it's already fine. It's over. Mad and Amy, it's over.
Amy don't want that.
Yeah. But the sad commentary about that is when I look at it in hindsight, what happened to them is what I'm saying I don't want to happen to me. I don't want to happen to anybody that's married or anybody that's in a committed relationship, that they spent all their time raising those children. And when what the baby boy name? Jeremy graduated and moved out, then she looked at Matt, he looked at her, and they figured out that they don't really know each other because they never spent time with each other. When they went on family vacation, he didn't want to go. He just went. And so now the children grown and gone, they looking at each other saying, I don't like you, you don't like me, why we together? And they split. And so, but what we gotta do is we gotta people that we can see their physical, because I keep on telling people, all of us sin to come short of the glory. There's just some people that know how to hide their stuff better than you. It ain't that you don't drink, you just don't drink when you come here. I mean, that's just reality. That you don't smoke, you just don't smoke when you come here. I mean, that's just all there to it. I was reading an autobiography on Martin Luther King, and Martin Luther King was big into his image. But Martin Luther King smoked, and a lot of folks don't know that actually when he got killed on the balcony, he was smoking cigarettes. Now that's the part that they don't tell. Now not to diminish, he was a good man. I mean he had issues just like everybody else. But I said that to say this: he didn't want kids to know that he smoked, so he didn't smoke in the house, and his children didn't. His children really didn't know that he smoked, because they never saw him smoke, but he did smoke. So I said all that to say, you know, all of us do something that don't nobody know we do. Okay, all right. The next thing that we forget is that we forget that Jesus does save. If he saves you, he can save everybody else. Why? That's another thing I don't understand. Why when folk, I don't understand this. Folk come up, get out like Christ, they get saved. I've had folk to screenshot me for profiles on social media. I mean, send me all kind of foolishness about people. I'm like, what? That ain't gonna diminish the fact that they just gave their life to Jesus.
Right.
What does that mean? I mean, what are you doing? You try, she used to mess with so and so. Well, okay. What? I mean, what's the difference? I mean, folk get all wrapped up in stuff. I keep on telling folks, y'all gonna hear me one day. 2 types of people in the church, the called and the uncalled.
That's right.
It ain't that you didn't do the same thing they did, you just didn't get caught. Just by grace and mercy. That's all there to it. All right. So we forget that Jesus saved. If he saved me, he can save anybody. And everybody deserves to be saved. I think sometimes Christians act like folk don't deserve to be saved. Oh, now look at him. I remember her. Well, okay. Ain't none of us never. When we put God on the scale, we ain't never did. All right. So, let me hurry up. I'm getting mad. We forget that Jesus can change. With Jesus, change is the norm. With Jesus, change is the norm. Change is the norm. Because what has happened is, Bishop Walker calls tradition frozen success. He says tradition is it worked one time and they just froze it and said we got to do it just like this. All right, and so a lot of folks that understand. That's why we got folks that leave our churches. Leave our churches. These children come up. It's okay. These children come up. That's why we have people that leave our churches. And they will go to churches, and no disrespect to any church that does this. I mean, but I just don't. You leave a church, and you go to a church that you got to watch somebody on the screen. I just ain't gonna get up and put on my clothes and go to a building and watch somebody on the screen. I just think I can just do that in my pajamas. How do you let in my pajamas? I mean, I ain't finna brush my teeth or nothing like that. I'm finna watch it on the screen. I mean, really. But people are doing it. And watch. People are doing this because folk want everything like this. 45 minutes. Now we done kind of got a 90-minute service down to a science. I'm trying to scale it back some more. Because I found one thing, I've been preaching over 20-some years. I mean, I'm getting old. I see things different. I understand things that are important, and I have matured in my preaching ministry, and I understand no matter how long I preach to you, you still gonna do what you want to do. I tell you all day, you already know you in sin. You already know what you're doing. You don't need to hear that every week. That's why I don't preach no sermon sending folk to hell every week. Some preachers want to get up there and talk about shacking because you got a few folk in your church to shack. Okay then. But guess what? The Bible also say we ought to obey the laws of the land. So in the state of Alabama where we reside, if somebody stay with you 6 months, according to the law, you married. See, don't nobody want to talk about that side.
In January.
What they say? Oh, y'all got some shockers.
Who's in the news?
Who said that over here? They trying. What they trying to do? What they trying to do?
January.
No, it won't be
no common
void.
law.
According to the breakdown, anything that's after January 1st, 2007 can no longer be committed as common law. Anything prior to will still be considered
Hold
legal.
on. Well, okay. Before I know my family, they cool.
Right.
They grandfather. That's good news to hear.
They got that unlimited
That'll be one thing that I took off my prayer list. All right. We forget, and here's the big thing in church that we forget that the object is not to keep the rules. Sometimes folks just want to keep the rules. The object is obedience to the Lord. And many of the Lord's well-intended children miss the fine line between these two. The letter of the law kills the spirit. The spirit gives life. And anyone who requires a demonstration of that proof needs only to drop in on a legalistic church and hang around a few weeks. They will be heartbroken over the rule keepers. There are some people that keep the rule. You know, folk that tell you like this. I mean, I've been to some church like this, you've been to some church like this. You know, you can't do nothing. You know, everything's sanctified. Toilet, Holy Ghost filled. Y'all got all these rules. I can't do nothing. I mean, I grew up with some folk that, you know, they went to the Pentecostal church. They couldn't do nothing. Couldn't go to the movies. Didn't have no kind of. Like, y'all can't go to the movies. We just going to see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You can't go see that. They can't participate in that. They can't color no coloring book. They got no men and women. Oh, come on, all these rules. I mean, that don't make no sense. I mean, you grew up on like that. I was sitting in the movie Sunday after church, and I said to myself, John Michael wanted to go see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I ain't want to go, but okay, I'll go. And so I was sitting there, I said, you know what, it is true. It is true. And I don't think, I said, you know, the old folk had it right. Children ain't for old folk. Then, cause I was like, I mean, here I am. I done been to church, I done preached. I said, I should have had all my children early. We got this 6-year-old and we got to act like we happy and he want to take pictures with the, you know, all that. Man, we expect these children not to. So, I mean, it'd be good. It would have been real nice if we had 2 teenagers. We got a teenager and a 6-year-old. I said, you know, children, you have children young. But then on the flip side, I thought about this. I said, you know, 20 years ago, I saw the same movie. In a different form. You know, I'm like, well, you know, times just kind of reciprocate themselves. So, so we got all these rules. All right, the last one is real good, Robert. You're gonna shout on this one. I say this for last. The last one is we keep forgetting to read all the words and not take a verse or two out of context.
That's right.
On that.
Because see, folk will say, they'll say, the Bible says, children, obey your Lord, obey the Lord, for this is right. But they forget about the provoking.
That's right. That's right.
It also says, don't provoke your children to wrath. So a lot of these children ain't not because they're being provoked. Being provoked to do some stuff. Right? So I ain't talking about other outside folks. I'm talking about they being provoked inside. That's why you gotta watch what you do around your children. Because they think that's what they see you do. They think that's normal. That's the norm. That's normal. All right, I'm done. Cause these children, they have something going on. I don't know what's going on with the group today. All right. Park outside. That's what it is. She gets the park. All right, so I'm done. Any question on that? But and as I studied the teachings of Jesus, it does make a whole lot of stuff that we just forget because we have made things that really don't matter. They major. It matters, you know, how many likes you get on Facebook, how many folk look at your service online, how many members you got. I mean, all that stuff don't matter. I mean, we grew up at churches, folks hold chicken dinners and kept the church warm. With 50 folk, 25 folk. They built the church. We got hundreds of folk, can't do nothing. What did that tell you? Our focus is not right. We got to refocus. We got to make what's priority. We got to make what we, you know, the things that we need to do for God, we need to do them. All right? Yeah, I think that's it. Anybody got any questions, comments?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
I struggle with this whole expecting people to treat you bad.
Yes,
Because
brother.
in my little mind,
Mm-hmm.
I think it costs you $0 and 0 cents and little effort to be nice to people, to
It does.
treat people kind.
It does.
And it's hard for me, like even on my job, I deal with rude people and rude coworkers and stuff like that. And it bothers me because it doesn't register to me that it's uncommon now for you to be polite to people. You know, you speak to folks now and they look at you like, you spoke, hey. You know, it shouldn't be a shock that people are nice. So I struggle with that. That's a little
I understand
hard
that.
for me.
Well, I guess I'm different. My sister, me and my sister talk. We don't agree on a whole lot of stuff. But she said one thing. A couple of my family members said, since I started this church, a whole lot of stuff. I really seen people for who they are, even family members. And a whole lot of my family members, I just don't fool with no more. So they were talking to my sister, and my sister said, and I never know she looked at it like this, but she said, y'all gotta realize, she said Justin's been through a lot in the last 2 years, and if anybody should have been by his side, it should have been his fault.
That's right.
And he said, instead of y'all being by his side, some of y'all left them, and then the ones that left, y'all talked about them like a dog, and then y'all expect them to be all right with it. And you know, I had a conversation with my mama today. My mama said to me, I told her, you know, I don't feel like going to the family reunion because I don't feel like fake breaking.
That's right.
I forgive them, but I don't have to allow them in my personal space.
That's right.
And I ain't finna go to no family reunion and be looking at you wanting to choke you, sleep. Want to put some rat poison in your brain. My girl just, I ain't finna do it. But it's amazing. It amazed me that my sister said that she actually recognized that has done something to me. And it hurts me, and it still hurts. I mean, I don't talk about it a whole lot, but it does hurt. You know, when your own folk is different, you know, you expect it from other folk. But when your own folk do you that way, and then you know, not because this is what folk were doing. You know, y'all are something just like I am. If Sister Parker said something, Andrea said something about Kim to somebody else, because she's Kim's mama. If she says something negative, they gonna believe her because they gonna say, "Wait a minute, now if her mama said it."
Right. That's right.
So that's what I had that's what had happened to me. And so what my family was saying was a black lie, and that's why my wife is learning. That's why I stay on my little corner. I stay on my end. I don't bother nobody. I don't like to go to folks' house. I don't when I make it a point. And I started this 16 years ago when me and my wife got married, and I was staying in Florida and we were coming back. I never stayed with any of my family members when I came to town because I wanted them to return the same courtesy when they came to town. I'm serious. Because you know when folks stay with you, you got to get up. You know, you can't lay in the bed. You know, all that kind of stuff. They want breakfast. No, go to the hotel. I know. Let me give you the list of the hotel. They got continental breakfast. It's good. I give folks come visit us. I give them a list of hotels nearby. Continental. Now these they got good. So I mean, but that's just how I am. But you know, when you got guests, you know, you got to get up and cook and be hospitable. I mean, Karen got mad at me one time. We was at our godman house. And I had, you know, when you done travel, because we drove from Alabama to Tampa, I was tired the next day. So it was like 1 o'clock. I'm still in my pajamas paying my t-shirt. So I walk on through, you know, everybody else dressed. Gary goes to my, you ain't gonna put no clothes. I done drove all night, I'm tired. But then I had to think about it. I am in somebody else's house. So when you in somebody else's house, that was the one time. I had a hotel booked in. And they begged us. Y'all ain't gotta do that. If I ain't got no hotel money, if my granddaddy used to say I ain't got no motel, I can't buy me no room. I don't wanna go nowhere. I'm just saying. But I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. And it's, you know, you try to